One sunny day, people in Ifo heard those special drums playing in the village square. The beat was different from normal drums. It had a magical sound that made everyone want to dance. As soon as they heard it, young men and women started running to the square. They were so excited that they shouted to each other as they ran, "She's here! She's here!" Who were they talking about? They were all rushing to see the most famous person in Ifo, a beautiful dancer named Ola. Ola wasn't just pretty. She was the prettiest girl anyone in Ifo had ever seen. Her face was so lovely that people said it looked like it was painted by an artist. She was tall and graceful, and when she smiled, it was like the sun coming out from behind a cloud. But it wasn't just Ola's looks that made her special. When Ola danced, it was like magic. Her body moved in ways that didn't seem possible. She could spin so fast that her colorful skirts looked like a rainbow, then stop suddenly and balance on one foot like a bird. When Ola danced, everyone watched her. They couldn't look away even if they tried. On this day, Ola was doing her most amazing dance yet. She leaped high in the air, spun around 3 times, and landed softly on her toes. The crowd went wild. They cheered, "Hoo!" They clapped their hands so hard they stung and stamped their feet, making a cloud of dust rise up. Ola kept dancing for hours and hours. The sun slowly moved across the sky, painting it orange and pink as it started to set. But still, Ola danced, and still, the people watched. It was only when the stars came out that Ola finally stopped dancing. Reluctantly, the spectators began to disperse, heading back to their homes with the memory of Ola's dance fresh in their minds. Discussions broke out among small groups, each person eager to relive their favorite moments of the performance. The people of Ifo were known for one thing. They loved to have fun. They had parties all the time for any reason they could think of. There were parties for new babies, for good harvests, for rainy days, and even for sunny days. People from other villages would laugh and say, "If a man from Ifo doesn't go to a party for a week, he might get sick." It was a joke, but it was almost true. Everyone knew that you could always find someone from Ifo at any party, no matter where it was. The village had a big open space in the middle called the Ifo Square. This was where most of the fun happened. There was always music playing, people laughing, and the smell of yummy food in the air. But the best times were when the special drums started to play. But there was something strange about Ola. People often whispered about her when she wasn't around. "There's something different about her," people would say in hushed tones, their eyes darting around to ensure they weren't overheard. Yet for all their speculation, no one could quite put their finger on what exactly set Ola apart. Yes, Ola was very pretty and danced better than anyone else, but she didn't have any friends. She never went to other people's houses for dinner or to chat. She didn't want to marry anyone either, which was very unusual in Ifo. Many men from Ifo and the surrounding villages wanted to marry Ola. But Ola's heart seemed to be sealed. The most notable of these suitors was Udemba, a man widely regarded as the most eligible bachelor in Ifo. Udemba was handsome, wealthy, and of good standing in the community. He was the kind of man that most families would have been overjoyed to welcome as a son-in-law. But Udemba only had eyes for Ola. Udemba would bring Ola gifts every day. One day, it was a beautiful necklace made of shiny stones. Another day, it was a basket of the sweetest mangoes from his family's farm. He would kneel in front of her and say, "Why don't you want me, Ola? I love you more than anyone else ever could." But Ola always said no. She would look at him kindly and say, "You're a nice man, Udemba, but you're not the one for me." Finally, Udemba was so sad that he stopped asking. He finally met another nice girl and married her instead. It wasn't just the men that Ola stayed away from. She didn't want to be friends with the other girls in the village either. Whenever they invited her to come and talk or cook with them, she would always kindly decline. The only places people ever saw Ola were in the village square when she was dancing, and sometimes at Enekini's Nkwobi and Palm Wine Shop. But mostly, Ola seemed to disappear when she wasn't dancing. No one knew where she lived or who her family was. One sunny afternoon, two girls named Adaugo and Ocha were standing under a big mango tree. They saw Ola walking by when Ocha called out, "Hey, Ola!" Ocha called out Umuada Ifo. Ola greeted, "Hope you woke up well?" "Yes," they replied in unison, their smiles wide and genuine. Gathering her courage, Ocha continued, "Ola, Adaugo and I have a request. We'd like to join you in your dance," Adaugo explained, her words tumbling out in a rush of enthusiasm. "Let's form a dance group. It's obvious you love dancing, and we love dancing too. As a group, we could be paid to perform for different villages and at various festivals. What do you think?" Ola listened quietly. For a moment, it looked like she might say yes, but then she shook her head. Ola sighed. "Nem, this makes so much sense, but as you rightly said, I only dance for fun and nothing more. But I have no interest in dancing anywhere else or in having a dance group. I dance whenever and however I like, and that's how it'll be. I'm so sorry to disappoint you, but I'm not interested in your offer." The disappointment on Adaugo and Ocha's faces was evident, but Ola seemed unmoved by their reaction. With a small nod of farewell, she continued on her way, leaving the two young women staring after her in disbelief. They had been so sure Ola would say yes. After Ola walked away, Adaugo said angrily, "She thinks she's better than us. She thinks she's the only good dancer in all of Ifo." Ocha nodded and added, "Well, we'll show her. We'll make our own dance group, and we'll be even better than Ola." If only they knew how far from the truth their assumptions were. If only they knew that Ola's reasons for refusing their offer were far more complex and deeply personal than they could have imagined. A few days later, Adaugo and Ocha started their own dance group with some other girls from the village. At first, people came to watch them dance in the square. They clapped and cheered for the new dancers. Adaugo and Ocha were so happy. They thought they had finally become as popular as Ola. But then something happened that made them very sad. One day, while they were in the middle of a dance, they heard Ola's special drums start to play on the other side of the village. Suddenly, all the people watching Adaugo and Ocha started to leave. They ran to go and watch Ola instead. Whenever Ola started dancing somewhere else, everyone left to watch her. Sometimes no one came to see Adaugo and Ocha's group at all. People in Ifo often wondered what was so special about Ola that made her irresistible. But since they enjoyed the entertainment, they soon forgot about it. But there was more to Ola than anyone in Ifo knew. There was more to her passion for dancing. Ola was trapped in a world that only she knew about. At the end of each day, after all her dancing was done, Ola would take a long walk far from the village. The happy, exciting dancer that everyone loved would become a quiet, lonely person. She would sit by the river and look at her reflection in the water. One day, she would whisper to herself, "One day I'll be free." She hoped that soon she could break away from her secret life and be happy. There she sits until a spirit comes and carries her away. The story of Ola, the strange dancer of Ifo, wasn't over. But for now, everyone was asleep, not knowing about the big changes that were coming.